Chris is not going to be here. Mark's not going to be here. We're barely going to have a quorum. Sure. Yeah, we got him. Hey.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we come to you tonight with thankful hearts. We are truly a blessed people to call Russellville, Arkansas home. And we are thankful for the servants that serve on this city council and in our city, county, and state government and our national leadership, Lord. We are thankful for the way they give of themselves, and we pray for wisdom, guidance, and strength as they seek to lead for the common good. May we always be mindful of those who are less fortunate. May we always be seeking the common good and justice for all. We offer this time to you, knowing that you walk with us and that you give us all that we need. We offer this to you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please turn for Pledge of Allegiance.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's see. At this time, we'll have the city clerk, Ms. Skelton, do roll call.
Ms. Caruth? Mr. Harris? Mr. Tripp? Mr. Olson? Mr. Harrell?
Here.
Mr. Westcott?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brown?
Here. What did you?
Mr. Keller?
Here.
Mayor Harris?
Here.
Mr. Smith? And myself. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Skelton. Council, you do see in your packet there the minutes from the August the 5th, 2021 and August 19th meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Do you have a motion and a second from Mr. Harris? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, Ms. Johnson, will you provide us the financial report?
Finance report for the city of Russellville. August revenues for the general fund were $1,282,948, which was 12.4% above budget. Tax receipts were $993,189. Franchise fees and permits were $125,431. Tax revenue comparison, there's an increase over prior year for city of 13% and for county 13%. Year-to-date, we've received $3,429,233 compared to a budget of $3,080,000, which is 11% above budget. And at the county level, we received $3,967,159 compared to a budget of $3,465,000, and the county is above budget by 14%. August expenditures for the general fund were $991,769, which is 2.7% below budget. $1,368,660 more received than spent. Street fund revenues for August were $850,200. This is comprised of new sales tax of $595,759. State turnback and ad valorem tax, $164,327. half-cent road sales tax of $65,819, interest of $23,296, and street cutting permits of $1,000. Street operating revenues is 3.4% below year-to-date projections. Street fund expenditures for August operations were $148,541. Capital spending was $11,491. Sales tax spending was $486,638. For the overlay, 10th and Denver and 4th Street, Houston and Cleveland drainage projects, Ward 3 and Commerce sidewalk improvements, and drainage maintenance. The August revenues for economic development funds was $92,161. So there's new sales tax of $90,111 and interest of $2,050. August expenditures were $13,633 for Arkansas Valley Alliance. The balance of the various economic development funds as of August 31st, 2021, the 2003 fund was $1,532,678.24. The 2007 fund was $1,018,926.52. The 2014 fund was $1,040,175.52. The 2021 fund is $516,995.81. August revenues for capital assets was $25,149. This is made up of a grant from Parks and Recs of $25,000 and interest of $149. August expenditures were $54,515 for the James School Park restrooms and pavilion project. The 2021 1-cent sales tax picture. For the street, we've received $3,619,152. Of that, we've not appropriated anything at this time. For RFD, RPD capital, we received $517,006. We spent $50,974. So the balance of $466,32. For parks, we've received $516,981. We spent $65,453 for a balance of $451,528. And for economic development, we received $516,996. None has been appropriated or spent. Any questions?
Ms. Johnson, back on street fund under revenues,
Yes, sir.
unless I have the figures wrong, none of the figures that you gave matched this part of.
On the finance report that we mailed out? Okay, I'll correct it.
What? Okay, all right,
I'll correct it.
thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Ms. Johnson. At this time, Chief Ewing will provide us with the police department report.
All right, thank you all for allowing me to do the annual report for the police department. It's, of course, 2021. When I came here last year, I said it was a challenging year. It didn't get any easier in 2021, but we handled it. So basically, police department, we've had our challenges, but we've done some good things during the last year. Mr. Brown, we actually got our windows installed, so it's a done project, and they're starting our fence coming Monday. So we're finally getting those projects we've been in a year waiting. We're finally getting done. To get started, I kind of show this graphic the last couple of years, just kind of our trends and calls for service. That's a 5-year projection there. The dark blue line that you see is for 2021. We're actually kind of on par for what we do every year. There was a slight dip in our property crimes. That's good to see, but but with the pandemic and everything going on, it just told you we didn't slow down. We just kept getting calls. People still needed us. So we had those challenges as well. One of the signature things we did, I think last time I was before this board in 2020, was we were trying to get our K-9 program started. We were 9 months into our program. We pretty much put them on the street first of the year, and just some brief stats on what they've been able to do. You can see from the picture there, that's Max in one of his finds. You know, there's a picture of us doing, some demonstrations for Mars Pet Care and some of our donors that helped us get this program started. But so far in the last 9 months, the canines have actually taken $80,000 worth of street value drugs and proceeds off the streets. And they're still rookies. They're still learning. You know, they've assisted in 57 apprehensions, helping us, find those people, and done 20 or so public demonstrations. So for something we've only had for 9 months, I mean, they're progressing in the right direction and very successful for the police department so far. And we are, hopefully in the near future, hopefully in 2022, I'll be introducing 2 more dogs. That's my goal. I go big or go home. So I'd like to have one on every shift so we have more coverage for with our resources. Another thing we did this year, we really enhanced our relationship with the Russellville School District. We continue to improve that relationship, and it's a win for the city overall. Everybody wants safe schools, good schools, and it's a win for the police department. We have that working relationship. Because of this partnership with the school district, we're going to have, be able to purchase vehicles, the school district is, that's going to reflect the SROs. That's going to be provided to the SROs that will hopefully look more like that partnership, maybe a black Charger with police and red Cyclone, something that really enhances that school spirit, but is also part of the police department to reflect that. We've also integrated certain school administrators in our active shooter response training to have a better coordinated response between the school and the police in case of emergency. We've actually taken their administrators and put them into our active shooter training. They're there anyway, so we did that at no cost to them. So we've done that. We also added a school resource officer to the Russellville Middle School. As you can see there, Officer Brian Robinson, he assumed his duties a couple of weeks ago and is at the Russellville Middle School. And you see also in that picture, Corporal Steve Barker. He'll be, you might see him at the Russellville High School. He'll be the permanent SRO once Corporal Lee Gimmer retires. And of course, Hobby, I don't believe he'll ever retire, I'm not sure. But to highlight our relationship with the school district, a few months ago, we were awarded the Arkansas Safe Schools Leadership Award for the state in 2021. This was a direct reflection of the hard work of our SROs, our school district leaders in our department. So, for us to be recognized at a state level for our leadership, I think it's a win for the city and our school district and our community. Another thing I'm kind of proud of this year, and I don't know if it's part luck or that some people like working for me, I don't know. But this is probably the most diverse workforce I've had or I've seen since I've been with the Russellville Police Department. I just kind of put their photos up there. I've been with the Russellville Police Department for 25 years, and this is probably, I've got 5 females, and you can just see from the pictures, no one can remember when we've ever had that many at the police department. We still have work to do to be more diverse, don't get me wrong, but we're trending in the right direction. And I just hope we continue to hold on to these people through continued recruiting and retention. And of course, that's the biggest challenge we have is recruiting and retention. I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for the consideration and helping us, look at, pay increases possibly in the future that would help keep these people, help us keep this diversity and move in the right direction. I see that look you got, Mr. Westcott. But with that, we've done a lot of good things. To end on a positive note, there's just some pictures, during the year we were able to get back into our community engagement. You can see us doing our annual torch ride for Special Olympics. You can see Lieutenant Quinn Jones with his teddy bear getting a shot. Our supervisors going through supervisor training, our 3 newest supervisors. The community support we got from Kroger and everybody else during this year has just been amazing. And in the officers you see in the middle there, they were all awarded the second highest recognition from the Police Department Medal of Honor for their heroic actions, in saving a family during a house fire. So, it's been, a great year, challenging year for the police department as we continue to train our officers and try to meet the expected professional standards that's expected of us from the community and recognize those officers that do place themselves in risk of injury to save the lives of others. So, it's kind of keep it short and sweet. It's been challenging, and we've had a good year. We got a lot of work still to do, but I appreciate the support from the council, the community, and the mayor's office for helping us move in the right direction. And to end, when HR did theirs and they showed this picture, everybody went, "Aw." I figured I didn't. Everybody likes the dogs better than they do us. So there you go. There's Max in the Christmas picture. So Merry Christmas early.
Thank you.
Is there any questions or anything?
Thank you, Chief Ewing.
Entertaining.
Okay, Personnel Committee, Mr. Harold's here to report.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, we're going to be scheduling a meeting, Personnel Committee, to look at Street Department payroll, their schedule, upgrading their pay schedule, and that meeting will be called here this next week, depending on availability of the members.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harold. Anything else? That's it. All right, Finance Committee, Mr. Westcott.
Thank you, Mayor. From our meeting at 5:30 this evening, item number 1 and 2 together. Number 1 is an appropriation request from the general fund year-end rollover balance, the sum of $8,100 to be used to provide training for the implementation of a couple of drones for the police and fire department. Number 2 is the appropriation to purchase those in the amount of $43,332.30. And we present items number 1 and 2 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, as a motion to adopt, rather.
Thank you, Mr. Westcott. I have a motion. Any discussion? I will say, I'll just add, Chief Ewing and I had a discussion this morning where there was an unfortunate incident up on Crow Mountain last night where a perpetrator fled from authorities and they spent all night looking for him. And Chief Ewing said if they had had the drones and the training, they may have been able to get up there and use those yesterday evening and help apprehend that individual. So this is a need for the community. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 3 is consideration of a resolution that would authorize the mayor and city clerk treasurer to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Chamber of Commerce Quality of Life Committee to repair and improve the 2 signs on either end of the city. And we present item number 3 as a motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is an appropriation request from the 2021 Sales Tax Capital Fund, the sum of $189,150.88 to be used to purchase 3 Ford Interceptor SUV police vehicles, 1 Dodge Charger admin vehicle, and the associated equipment that goes with that. The Finance Committee recommends approval, and we forward that as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 5 and 5A. 5 is the public hearing for this, and 5A is a consideration of a resolution that would set the amount of cleanup lien for 3320 North Erie Avenue. So after number 5, public hearing, we present 5A as a motion to adopt.
Okay, I do have a motion at this time. Before we adopt the resolution, I will open the floor for public hearing. So at this time, we have a public hearing on the lien on property 3320 North Erie Avenue in Russellville, Arkansas. Anyone here to speak on that issue? Hearing none, public hearing is closed. I have a motion for the resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 6 is an appropriation request from the General Fund 2020 year-end rollover balance, the sum of $9,832 to be used to provide a sliding door for the restroom entrance at the Aquatic Center. The committee recommends approval, and we forward item number 6 as a motion to adopt.
All right, have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 7 is consideration for reimbursement of the August 2021 invoices from the Arkansas Alliance for Economic Development. We present that as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 8 is consideration of a resolution that would levy millage taxes on all property in the city of Russellville for the year 2021. This is a continuation of the current millage, which funds the fire department retirement, and we present item number 8 as a motion to adopt.
Thank you. That motion, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 9, option 2, is an appropriation request from the General Fund 2020 year-end rollover balance, the sum of $5,880 to be used to provide funding to replace air conditioner units in both restrooms at the Aquatic Center. And we present item 9A as a motion to adopt.
I have a motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 10 is an appropriation request from the 2020 year-end carry-forward balance, the sum of $9,548.46 to provide additional funding for the construction of the access apron at the new 6-bay nested T hangar at the airport. And we present item number 10 as a motion to adopt.
Thank you for that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, that's the final thing on our agenda, and I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Westcott. This time, we'll move into unfinished old business with item number 1, which is consideration of an ordinance amending the property maintenance for the city of Russellville. This is the third and final reading. What is the desire of the council?
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirement, read by title only with a short explanation.
Second.
Okay, I do have a motion to suspend the rules, dispense with reading requirements, read by title only with a short explanation. I do have a second from Mr. Keller. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, roll call, please. This is to read it only. No motion to adopt at this time.
Mr. Westcott,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
No.
Ms. Caruth. No. Mr. Harrell,
No.
Mr. Harris. No. That's everybody. It's 4-2.
Okay, the motion to suspend the rules and dispense with reading requirement has failed. I hear any other motions on this item?
Mayor, it was my understanding from talking to Trey last month that when the first, that if we don't suspend the rules to read by title only, since we've started the process of 3 readings, that we're not reading it by title only now, since that motion just failed, but we're still going to be reading the whole thing in its entirety now.
If there is a motion to read the whole ordinance, then yes, that can be done.
Okay, no, I was under the impression from discussing with Trey last month
Okay.
that,
Mr. Trey, can you clarify this for us?
Once it's on, it has to be read in its entirety since it's on the agenda. So unless there's something to remove it, then it'll be read in its entirety.
So we don't need a motion to read it in its entirety, and then we would consider a motion to adopt should such motion be made.
Right.
Okay. So at this point, I'll turn the floor
so
to you,
again,
Mr.
I
Smith.
would point out to the council that it's going to be read in its entirety. We can just skip that and read it by title only if we want to revote on that last motion, or we can sit here and listen to all 5 pages again.
I was under the impression myself that if it failed not to be even read with 4 votes, so if to read it to expedite things along, I thought the 4th vote, me being the 4th one, it would fail in its entirety. So if the rest of the council members, myself, I will change my vote to a yes to read it in its entirety.
I have a question for Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller, recognizing that 2 of the council are not present with us this evening, would you consider a motion to table this item?
I would in fact not only consider, but I now make the motion to table this item.
Are you making that motion?
Yes, sir, I'm making that motion.
Technically, you're supposed to have something
And
I
I'll
do have a
second
motion
that.
to table by Mr. Keller
I'll second that.
and second by Mr. Westcott. I'm sorry?
I didn't hear what Trey said.
I was saying, usually you have to have something before, but with this, if you're wanting to postpone it to the next regular meeting, it can be done by
Yeah.
regular motion.
Yeah, I moved to table to the next regular
We've
meeting.
got a motion and a second to table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Roll call.
This is on the motion to table. Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Westcott,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brown,
No.
Ms. Caruth. No. Mr. Harrell,
No.
Mr. Harris. 4-2.
Motion to table has failed. At this time, Mr. Smith, if you would read the ordinance.
All right. An ordinance amending the property maintenance code for the city of Russellville adopted by ordinance number 2124, and for other purposes, whereas the proposed amendments to the city of Russellville City Property Maintenance Code adopted by ordinance number 2124 are to improve the property maintenance standards contained in the code, and whereas most of the proposed minimum habitable premise standards in Act 1052 of Act 2021 Act 1052 already contained in the code in chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6, whereas Act 1052 allows the city to adopt equal to or stricter housing standards than those listed in Act 1052, and whereas the city council determined to approve the amendments contained in this ordinance and amend the city code to add minimum standards in Act 1052 not covered by the current city code. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council, City of Russellville, Section 1, the code is hereby amended with the following section 608, added in Chapter 6 to read as follows. Section 608, air conditioning. Subsection 608.1, air conditioning. Air conditioning is to be maintained in good working order throughout the tenancy if air conditioning is supplied by the owner of a rental unit to a tenant at the time of the tenant's possession of the rental unit. Section 2, the code is hereby amended with the following section 705, added in Chapter 7 to read as follows. Section 705, carbon monoxide alarm. Subsection 705.1, carbon monoxide alarm. If the rental unit rented by a landlord to a tenant contains a carbon monoxide source, a working carbon monoxide alarm shall be installed by the landlord at the landlord's expense. Subsection 705.1.1, if the carbon monoxide alarm is solely battery operated, the carbon monoxide alarm shall be equipped with functioning batteries at the beginning of the tenancy or whenever the landlord installs the carbon monoxide alarm. Subsection 7.5.1.2, a battery-operated carbon monoxide alarm in a rental unit is in compliance with this section if the tenant subsequently removes the batteries or otherwise disabled the carbon monoxide alarm. Section 3, ordinance number 2124, Section 5 is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 5, penalties. Violating any following provisions of this ordinance shall incur the following penalties. Subsection A, any person, business, or corporation who shall violate any of the provisions of this ordinance or fail to comply thereafter with any of the requirements thereof shall be guilty of a misdemeanor and shall be liable to a fine of not less than $100, but not exceeding subsection little I, $1,000 for the first offense, subsection 2 little I, $2,000 for the second offense, subsection 3 little I, $4,000 for each subsequent offense after the second offense, subsection IV plus court costs and applicable fees. Subsection B, each day of such violation is permitted to the extent is permitted to exist shall constitute a separate offense. Subsection C is found that any violation of this ordinance is found to be continuous with respect to time, the fine or penalty for allowing the continuous thereof in violation of this ordinance shall not exceed $500 for each day that is unlawfully continued plus court costs and applicable fees. Section 4, The code is hereby amended with the following section, Section 106.4, violation penalties to be amended in Chapter 1 to read as follows. Subsection 106.4, violation penalties. A, any person violating any section of this code shall be guilty of misdemeanor and shall be liable for a fine of not less than $100 up to but not exceeding. Subsection I, $1,000 for the first section. Subsection 2I, $2,000 for the second offense. Subsection 3I, $4,000 for each subsequent after the second. Subsection IV plus state court cost and applicable fees. Subsection B, for each day such violation is permitted to exist shall constitute a separate offense. Subsection C is found that any violation of this code is found to be continuous with respect to time, the fine or penalty for allowing the continuation thereof in violation of this ordinance shall not exceed $500 for each day that is lawfully continued plus court costs and applicable fees. Section 5, the code is hereby amended with the following sections. Section 112.4, failure to comply to be amended in Chapter 1 to read as follows. Subsection 112.4, failure to comply. A, any person who shall continue to work after having been served with a stop work order, except such work that as that person is directed to perform to remove a violation or unsafe condition shall be liable for a fine of not less than $100 and up to but not exceeding. Subsection I, $1,000 for the first offense. Subsection 2I, $2,000 for the second offense. Subsection 3I, $4,000 for each subsequent offense after the second. Subsection IV plus court costs and applicable fees. Subsection B, each day such violation permitted to exist shall constitute a separate offense. Subsection C, it is found that any violation of this section of this code is found to be continuous with respect to time. The fine or penalty for allowing the continuance thereof in violation of this ordinance shall not exceed $500 for each day that is unlawfully continued plus court costs and applicable fees. Section 6, the city planner is permitted to amend the property maintenance code only to the extent necessary to incorporate the amendments into the property maintenance code. Subsection 7, the recitals, the preamble of this ordinance are incorporated in this section of this ordinance by reference. Subsection 8, in exercising authority to codify the amendments in the preceding section, the city planner shall make the following changes to the amendments. Subsection A, correct the spelling of words. Subsection B, change capitalization for the purpose of uniformity. C, correct manifest typographical and grammatical errors. Subsection D, correct manifest errors and references to laws, ordinance, and other documents. Subsection E, correct manifest errors in the internal reference numbers or letters. And subsection F, correct punctuation.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Motion to adopt.
I do have a motion to adopt
Second.
and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I would actually, just to speak on this motion just for a second.
I'm sorry.
Or to speak on this just for a moment. There is discussion.
You would like to discuss?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I just want to say basically this ordinance boils down to two things, and that's safety and fairness. I think the first idea of safety is it ensures that that if a source of carbon monoxide exists, the detector of carbon monoxide is installed in rental units. It protects those renting the unit by installing such systems that if there is a leak in carbon monoxide, those folks are notified. Those folks are made aware of it. Carbon monoxide is deadly. It is odorless. It is tasteless. And it will kill you. Without a carbon monoxide detector, you have no idea that it's there. It's the exact same principle as having a smoke detector, which is something that is required. So that's safety. And then when it comes down to fairness, this ensures that if a person in our community rents a unit with a working AC and that AC stops working, that the landlord is required to fix it. This ensures that members of our community get what it is that they signed up for. If you signed up for an apartment that had air conditioning, I would assume that you would expect that that unit would have air conditioning the entire time that you are renting that unit. That's something that I think that we all would expect, but that's not something that is required to have happen right now under the law. This is the same principle as what is currently on the books with heating units. If a heating unit breaks in the apartment or the house that you are renting, the landlord is required by law to fix it. That's the exact same thing there. No one wants to live in a unit without AC, though someone can still choose to rent a place that doesn't have AC. But if someone chooses to rent an apartment or a house that has AC on day one, they can expect to have a working AC unit on the last day of their occupancy. It's just basic fairness, you know. And I would point out that this, when I first got on the council, the AC unit in this building wasn't working very well, and it was hot and it was stuffy. And this council took no time, no discussion, no deliberation, and unanimously voted to make sure that we had AC, to make sure that when we're up here, the couple hours a month that we're here doing this work, that we weren't too hot, that we were comfortable, that we had air conditioning. I think we can extend that same, the same bit of expectation that we have for ourselves to the people of our community. You know, and lastly, I want to say that this ordinance is a product of months of work, collaboration, and compromise between this body, landlords in our community, and tenant advocates. Over months of discussion, this ordinance was forged through dialogue, work, and compromise. We talked, we discussed, sometimes we argued, but in the end, we came together on a compromise that we could all live with. No one got everything that they wanted. Everyone walked away wishing that they'd gotten more. But that's, you know, that's something that when I grew up, that was kind of the mark of a good compromise. No one gets everything that they want, but everyone gets something. And that's exactly what this is. You know, so I just lastly want to thank everyone who gave up their time and their effort to make what we have here today possible through their work, their compromise. And with that, I yield to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Any other discussion?
I agree. Nobody wants to go without air conditioning. Nobody wants to go without heat. Nobody wants to go hungry. But to me, there comes a point to where it's not the city's responsibility for us to go out here. And I know I've said this before, but I don't feel like it's our job to go around and tell people to fix their air conditioner. I mean, we've got enough problems in this city as it is on other things, on having people cut their grass. And we've got 2 code enforcement officers, and we're going to turn this into something that it's just going to be more and more and more with something that's already strained. So, I mean, I'm not denying that there's none of us in this room that wants to go without an air conditioning, but I don't think it's my responsibility to go out here and tell people you're going to have this, you're going to have that. I mean, where does it end? I mean, I agree with you. I don't want to have, you know, no air, carbon monoxide, and if that I just think that it's a government overreach for me. I mean,
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Any
I
other
would say,
discussion?
just in response to that, during one of our many sessions in discussing this ordinance, I believe it was Cliff Gooden brought this book to me. And he said over and over that this book tells us exactly what needs to happen. This book tells us what the rights are for landlords and what the rights are for tenants. This is the book given to me by Cliff Gooden, and I just want to read one part. Under responsibilities as a tenant, under problem housing, It says if you have a problem with your rented property, notify the landlord immediately. If the landlord does not respond to your notice, i.e. does not fix the problem, contact the appropriate government agency. It says right here, this is what a tenant is supposed to do. But if we don't say that this is something that is on our books, then the tenant has no recourse. The tenant has no ability. We already have this set up. And what they gave us, what the landlord gave us as this is the book that needs to be going by, I'm going by their book. We need to have something on the books for safety and for fairness.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, roll call, please.
This is on the motion to adopt. Mr. Westcott,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Keller,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
No.
Ms. Caruth. No. Mr. Harrell,
No.
Mr. Harris. 4-2, no.
Motion fails. Moving on to item number 2, consideration of an ordinance amending the zoning code for the city of Russellville. This is the second of 3 readings. What is the desire of the council?
Mayor, I move that we suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirement, read the second and final time by title with a short explanation.
Okay, I do have a motion to suspend the rules, dispense with the reading requirements, read for the second and final time with a short explanation. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Brown. Is that right? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance amending the zoning code for the city of Russellville, Arkansas, adopted by ordinance number 1966, and for other purposes, this ordinance, if passed, would amend the table of permitted uses that is in Article 13 of the zoning code, and it will add a new permitted use warehousing inside storage-only existing building to the table of permitted uses, and set out within that table which uses, the zones for the use where they can and cannot be permitted.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. What is the desire of the council?
Motion to adopt.
I have a motion to
Second.
adopt. Do I hear a
Second.
Second from Mr. Keller. Okay, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, recognizing that there is a business waiting for approval of this tonight so that they can open up for business, I move that we enact the emergency clause.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the emergency clause, which would enact this ordinance immediately. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Westcott. New business, item number 1, consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to rename a portion of East 16th Street between South Knoxville Avenue and State Highway 7 to Williamson Way to honor the late Tyrone Williamson and his family, to notify all residents, businesses, entities, Polk County 911, Polk County Office of Emergency Management, the U.S. Postal Service, and any other governmental information system whose jurisdiction is within the city of Russellville. What is the desire of the council?
Mayor, further down in our agenda, we will be asked to consider a late agenda item relating to the establishment of certain criteria and eligibility requirements for the renaming of a city street. Recognizing that that's on our agenda and that as of right now, we don't have anything in writing. We have no criteria to go by, whether to approve or deny a request such as this. I move that we table item number 1 for a future meeting so that we may consider the establishment of the proper criteria for the renaming of a city street.
I have a motion to table. Is this a discussion? No, I got a motion to table at this point, waiting for a second.
Second.
I have a second. Discussion?
Yes. With,
The late agenda item has never even been added.
I'm sorry, Mr. Carroll.
The late agenda item has never been added, so therefore, we've already discussed this, and it's on our agenda. This is something that you're talking about, the late agenda item, it's not even been discussed. I have nothing in front of me, I don't even know anything about it. Okay, well, I just received it. To make a knowledgeable decision on it is something that, but I think we need to move forward with what we discussed in our agenda meeting.
I'm so glad that that was brought up, that some on the council are not familiar with this item that's going to be before us here in just a little bit, or we'll have the opportunity to discuss those criteria. And I'm thankful that you reminded everyone that we've not had a chance to thoroughly look over that. Because without those criteria, without something in writing that we can go by, we as a council would be basing our decision on how we feel, which sometimes can work out good and sometimes not. So, to prevent us voting by how we feel, and we can make sure that we're all on the same page and that the person, either they qualify, they're eligible, or they're not eligible. We have something definitive to go by. That's why I moved that we table this.
I do have a couple of people that signed up to speak on this item. I think it's appropriate that we let those individuals have their say on this item before we speak, before we vote to table. Megan Selman, would you approach the podium and state your name?
Is that approach or waddle?
Hi, I'm Megan Selman, the director of the Boys and Girls Club, the LV Williamson Boys and Girls Club. And so I'm always happy to come share about the kiddos at the club and kids in our community. And admittedly, I don't know a lot about the logistics of renaming a street or politics on that, but I just came here to talk about things I do know about, which are kids in our community and specifically kids at the Boys and Girls Club. I do know that Mr. Tyrone was a wonderful mentor to our children at our Boys and Girls Club. You can see he was sworn in right out front on 16th Street, and he spent hundreds of hours volunteering with kids at our club, coaching softball, he coached basketball, and he mentored so many young African-American men who passed through our club. He was a substitute teacher for Russellville School District, and he cared very deeply for kids in our community, especially his own kiddos. And I just think that he was a role model for so many kids in our town, more than we'll probably ever know. And I'm here because I very strongly believe that it is so important for our young African-American kiddos to see role models like Tyrone that look like them, and to see community leaders that look like them. Mr. Williamson's life is so relatable. He went to Russellville High School. He went to Arkansas Tech University. He lived on Jonesboro Street. His home, I think, backed up to Independence. And he spent 28 years as a meter specialist at APNL, 8 years on the city council, and then was elected first African-American mayor for the city of Russellville. And when you think about that life and that story, he's just the perfect example of a community leader that kids can look up to, but also relate to. His story, I think, shows young men and women in our town that you can come from your neighborhood and you can be a minority and you can achieve anything that you want to. So I just wanted to talk about that piece of it, that it's so crucial that our kids, all of our kids, have role models that look like them, and they have these good men and women to look up to. And I think that this is a great opportunity for us as a city to choose to put Mr. Williamson, and really the entire Williamson name, on a street sign for everybody to see. Our kids cross that street every day from Oakland to the Boys and Girls Club, so that we can continue to talk about him and to let him continue to impact youth in our town. I have a quote that I'll end with from a news article, 2008, quoting Mr. Williamson. It says, "You know, I was constable for 8 years before I ran for alderman. So I was around for a while, and I heard a few comments from folks saying I couldn't do this or that because I was a different color. But I knew I could do all things through the Lord who strengthens me. Now I'm the mayor, and my parents taught me never to look down on anyone unless I was bending down to pick them up." And I just think that's a great spirit. And I want to honor that spirit, want to honor the Williamsons in our community. So I just came here tonight to publicly say that personally and as a Boys and Girls Club organization, we support that endeavor. And we would be proud to have 16th Street named after Mr. Tyrone. So thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Megan. Ms. Williamson, did you want to speak? And I'm just going to say this as Ms. Williams approaches the podium. You will not find a sweeter lady than the lady that's walking up to the podium right now. She is just a darling.
Thank you so much. And I'm a nervous one as well. Okay. A little while ago, I approached, first of all, thank you all for allowing me to speak today. Thank you all for who have come out to support this effort to name the street after Tyrone Williamson. A few months ago, when I approached Mayor Harris, I'm so sorry, I'm nervous, about naming a street after Tyrone, I did a little research first as well, and I did look up the criteria for renaming a street after an individual, and just a little bit. I'm sure what you may look at later may have more information, but the first thing I'm going to tell you, I Googled it, and the first thing that popped up, it said, here's criteria for naming a street after someone. Individuals must have provided extraordinary public service or some exemplary contribution to the public and be associated with the community where a highway is located. The designee must be a deceased or an elected official who's no longer in office. And I'm not going to read the rest of it, but because what this young lady just spoke about fits those pieces of criteria there, okay? I don't know if that's going to satisfy the late agenda information that you have or not, but I'm telling you that's Tyrone in a nutshell. What she was just talking about is just a small portion of Tyrone. A lot of you all already know him or knew him. A lot of us who are here, we have some church members here, and Tyrone would have done anything for anyone, okay? There is just no doubt about that. But that wasn't the first thing that I came up here to say. What I did want to say is this. On behalf of the family and friends of Tyrone, I'm asking the City Council to support the resolution to rename a portion of East 16th Street to Williamson Way in honor of former Mayor Tyrone Williamson. And as many as you know, Tyrone served as a constable and then as a city council member before he was elected mayor of the city of Russellville. His goal was always to do his best to make this city a great place to live, work, and raise families, to visit, and he would have done that for everyone here, everyone in this city. That was his goal. What you may know of him being on the city council is one thing. What you may know of him being a church member is another thing. But as my husband and the father of my children, I just got so much of a well-rounded view of a man that I knew for 32 years. Is just the greatest man that I know in my 60-plus years. He is the greatest man I have ever met. I'm telling you that.
Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Williamson.
I'm sorry, I'm not done. Sorry.
Okay.
I want you to know that he loved this city. He loved the citizens of this city, the residents, the children. Didn't matter how old you were. If you were part of this city, he would have done anything for you. He loved serving the members of this community, and I'm not alone when I tell you it would be an honor to have the resolution passed naming the street Williamson Way in his honor. Our family would appreciate it, and that's just an understatement. But as you were saying earlier, when we have little kids growing up, if you ever talk to anybody in the school or you listen to any news and they talk about representation, this would be great representation for anybody, but especially for members of the minority communities, members of minorities that go to school here and would have this Williamson Way, which the portion that they're talking about naming is also the part that is the Williamson Boys and Girls Club, which is named after his father. So that would be just such a double honor. You know, and you talk about feelings, you may want to vote on something based on your feelings. How is that not a good thing? I feel good besides nervous, just thinking about all that he's done for this community and done in this community, and the things that he did that no one asked him. He did it because it was in his heart to do. And so, again, I say it would be an honor to ask you to consider today the resolution to name the street Williamson Way in his honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
When we discussed renaming this in the agenda prep meetings, you know, I know there was discussions on what's the criteria, what's not the criteria, but we as a council, we could rename any street that we wanted to. And, you know, I just feel like that, you know, you speaking, Miss Williamson, I never knew your husband in any type of politics. I knew him I was 18 years old, and I started at the sheriff's office at the jail, and he would come down every Sunday, and I probably eat some of your cooking that he would bring down to the jail. Every time he come and visited somebody, he would bring some food down there. I didn't know him as a mayor. I didn't know him as a city councilman, and I didn't know him as anybody but him coming down there. And he you know, for many years throughout my career, that's how I knew Mr. Williamson. And I think that renaming this street is not only just as she spoke of, is for a minority population. I mean, you know, Mr. Williamson, he broke a barrier. He was the first black mayor that served Russellville. You know, he served on the city council. His family has built us, you know, built the Boys and Girls Club, the complex over there. Without that, we wouldn't have that. I mean, to me, that seems like that's the least we could do for the man. So.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say, Ms. Williamson, I served with Tyrone on city council a couple of terms, and I never saw him without a smile, that he would come in and hug on people, and that's a bear hug. You didn't get a little hug on that. And so, and I've seen him mentor the kids and being at the gym, and bless his heart, he had to just tell everybody he was Corliss's uncle. You know, he claimed that every chance he got to. But I went to school when Virgil and them were at UCA, and so the Williamson family has been a big part of Russellville for years and generations. And so it is very fitting, in my opinion, to honor that street named Williamson Way, not only for Tyrone's contributions, but for the Williamson family and what y'all stood for. And I will say that Tyrone would probably be the first one to admit that he married way over his head when he married you. And thank you for speaking in his behalf.
Justin.
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, I completely and totally agree that we need to establish some sort of criteria moving forward, and we need to say this is the process moving forward. But you know, as I went back and forth on this, you know, we had a lively discussion last Tuesday. over what was the prudent move forward regarding this, whether it be permanent renaming or honorary renaming or what type of criteria and this and that and the other. I keep coming back to, like, even if, and I've gone through the ordinance that was sent out by Trey with proposed language for criteria moving forward. Even with looking with that, I'm going to vote to, to rename it. It fits the criteria, so whether it's now or it's in a month or 6 months once we've passed the ordinance or whatever, I'm still going to vote to rename that city or that street Williamson Way. So I don't see any need to necessarily wait for that.
Thank you. Any other discussion before we vote?
I have something here.
Okay.
It's, without the Williamson family, we don't have a Boys and Girls Club. Okay? And because of his service and the family here, inclusive on this thing, I think it's well-deserving, and I think it's something that we should do as a council. And I give the floor back to the mayor here.
Mayor, real quick.
Mr. Westcott?
As I look forward or forward in the paperwork to that list of criteria, I believe that this request does fit well within the criteria that we would be addressing. My purpose for the motion to table so that we could have those formal requirements is to make it as easy as possible for this council to say yes, and to make it as difficult as possible for this council to say no without good cause. But recognizing that it appears the majority of this council is in favor of this item, I withdraw my motion to table and instead move to approve this request.
Second.
Okay, I do have a motion to withdraw the table and to move forward with the resolution as stands. Do I have a second? Mr. Keller, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Motion passes. And council, I just want to personally thank you for what you just did for not only this family, but for the city of Russellville. Moving on to item number 2. Consideration of resolution to make the city of Russellville, Arkansas a sanctuary city for the unborn.
Mr. Mayor, in the absence of 2 of our council members, I would like to postpone this for further discussion.
Would you like to make a motion to table?
I would like to motion to table this.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I see no reason to ask for a motion on the late agenda. Well, I guess I will ask for a motion on the late agenda item since there is a consideration for an ordinance to establish process. So do I have a motion to add the late agenda item? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.